uh, one of the things down by the playing field, there was another bit of ground surrounded by river, and it was called a spit, and there was a tennis court on it where Robin and I used to play tennis. And one of these days, one of those times when I was about 8 and Robin was 11, two boys suddenly appeared who were nothing to do with the school. They climbed down from Moorland Bridge, and Robin very politely went up to them and suggested that they should leave because they were trespassing. And what happened then, Robin?
Well, they disagreed. It's the final vestige of chivalry in the state. We decided to have a competition. Now, I was bigger than I was too big to be fair, but Tom was about the right size for their youngest one. So I allocated Tom to do the dueling.
Yeah.
And so Tom and this poor other character started a wrestling match, which the other character lost horribly.
Well, he didn't lose horribly, actually. Let me take it up at that point, because we were getting nowhere. We were both sort of holding on to each other and grappling and turning around and getting absolutely nowhere, and thought, this is useless. And then I spotted there were some nettles just about 10 yards away, a patch of nettles. So I thought, well, let's see if I can pick him up, because he was quite small. And I managed to pick him up. And then I staggered over to the nettles holding him. And then I dropped him in the nettles. And that was very effective. The poor chap came out whimpering quietly, and they slunk away. And we had triumphed, I think. That was the truth to say. Is that right, the way you remember it, Robin?
Yeah, I do remember it. Yeah, we won. They never came back.
Now, going back to the river, punting. We at one stage we had a punt, didn't we? The family had a punt which was moored at the bottom of the garden.
Yeah, it was an old punt, and it was a bit derelict, but it worked. And my recollection is that Tom and I became quite expert at punting or poling the punt along, and we could go around the island in, I can't remember the time now, but like 10 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
Whereas the new undergraduates who would come and were trying to show off to their girlfriends how to punt had no hope. And in particular, I remember where the raft was, where we went swimming.
Yeah.
And a swan, one year a swan built a nest right at the apex of that. And it was very defensive. And so these poor undergraduates in this punt were sort of drawn in a magnetic sort of way towards the nest. And this great flapping white bird hissing and sparking and everything else would attack them. And we would watch with some amusement. Yeah. But we were sufficiently skilled at punting that we could just zoom around them. And we knew where all the soft spots were on the riverbed. All the muddy spots where you didn't push too hard on your pole. So if you did push hard on your pole, you never got the pole out again.
Give you an idea of the sort of quiet lives we led. My stag night consisted of walking over the road with Robin to the Eastgate pub and having half a pint of beer and then walking back home. That was it.
Yeah.
And it's partly that stag nights were not big things then.
Right.
And you know, people didn't go off for 4 days to Iceland or something, but nonetheless,
well, I didn't have any of that.
Yeah,
and mainly because I got married in Townsville, which was, I was living in Melbourne. Townsville, 2,000 kilometres away or more.
Yeah,
and none of my friends were going to go up to Townsville for my wedding, so. And Bob Mader said, look, we'll come for your wedding or we'll come out later and see you. And we said, come out later and see us, because when we're on our wedding, we'll be busy doing other things. But that's what they did. So the result was, when I got married in St. James Cathedral in Townsville, and bear in mind that Rosie was the first of her generation of 20-odd cousins, to get married. So it was a big deal. Hopkins, girl, next generation, getting married in town school. And so, I mean, we just wanted to get married in the back of their garden. But, oh, no, that's not what it was going to be. It was going to be in the cathedral. Bells and everything that goes with it. And but when we walked into the cathedral, you know, the bride's family sits on the left, and the bridegroom's family sits on the right, and the whole cathedral leant over to the left because there was nobody on my side at all. The only person I knew, this is almost not quite true, but almost true. The only person I knew at my wedding was Rosie.
Yeah.
I mean, I had met her parents, and I had met her sister, but I hadn't met my best man, who was Ross, Prue's boyfriend at the time.
Yeah.
So it was a strange sort of wedding in many ways.
Yeah.
Very one-sided.
Yeah. But going back to risks, I mean, that is the brave. You take a risk when you get married. You know, nobody is absolutely, or very few people are absolutely confident that this is right. You know, you think it took courage to go through with that. I think every man does, and woman do. You know, it's a risk for everybody, and thank God it's worked out and paid out.
I mean, I look at my grandchildren talking about these sorts of subjects, and they are so open and free about it.
Yeah.
I mean, we had Matilda. You know, Matilda's gone up to North Queensland, staying up there at Outback Station, and she said to us, you know, she drove all the way up there, 2,000 kilometres away. And how'd you get on? Well, stayed in one motel. It was all right, but it was very noisy. What do you mean it was very noisy? Well, there was a couple next door having very loud sex all the time. Hell, this is a young girl who just turned 18.
Yeah.
You know, and I would never, ever, until about the age of 50 or 60, dare to talk about that sort of thing.
Just a suggestion. Tilly very kindly thought up some really good questions. Could you face another session of this in a week or so?
Yeah, week at the same time.
Yeah. Would that be all right?
Next week. Unless I send you an email saying I've got something else to do.
Okay.
Because maybe Toby and Robert will come up with a few questions as well, which they haven't.
And Jill's got quite a
long
long list.
Jill's got some questions too.
Yeah.
So there's some more, and it'd be nice to.
There's a bit more to do.
I just remind them that I don't answer questions like that. I don't want grandchildren talking about my sex life. That's out of bounds.
Bye.